Baru eagerly anticipated Suho's reaction to receiving the power of shadow extraction. He imagined Suho being thrilled, thinking, "Wow, amazing. Is the system really giving me such an incredible ability as a reward? Last time it gave stat points, but this time it's a rune stone for a new skill." Baru had prepared a cocky response, planning to say something like, "Ahem, didn't I say so? This shadow dungeon contains everything for your highness." With a smirk, Baru gave his explanation, "Ahem. This leveling system is a supplementary device for the stable growth of our young monarch. It's an improved version of the system you, our lord, used in the past, designed to fully embrace the power of a great monarch within the fragile human body." However, Suho interrupted him, saying, "Oh, come on, it's just a summoning skill." His expression clearly showed disappointment. Baru was shocked. What are you saying? How can you receive such incredible power and react like this?" Suho explained the general perception of summoning skills among contemporary hunters. He pointed out that dungeons were harsh places where a momentary lapse in concentration could lead to a magic beast attacking a hunter, and dangerous traps lurked everywhere. In such an environment, summoning skills were seen as less valuable because they didn't guarantee safety. This response made Baru realize that despite the incredible power of the skill, Suho viewed it as just another tool in the harsh reality of dungeon life. The experience highlighted the difference in perspective between Baru and Suho regarding the value and utility of the new skill. Combat hunters with their sturdy bodies could handle the harsh conditions better, but non-combat hunters had physical abilities similar to ordinary people. Mage-type hunters with summoning skills were especially vulnerable, as they relied heavily on their summoned creatures in battle, rendering them little more than helpless baggage carriers. And summoning consumed a significant amount of magical energy, and finding useful summoned creatures was difficult. Even when a summoner managed to find a good one, they often weren't as strong as hoped. This reality was a harsh one for contemporary hunters, who faced constant danger in the dungeons, where a momentary lapse in concentration could lead to fatal consequences due to magic beasts or traps. Baru, who had high expectations for Suho's reaction, was initially shocked and frustrated by Suho's lack of enthusiasm. He believed in the unique power of the skill and felt it was being undervalued. However, Suho's practical understanding of the dangers they faced in the dungeons tempered his excitement, bringing a more grounded view to the skill's usefulness. When Suho shattered the rune stone to absorb the skill, shadows surged up from beneath his feet, wrapping around his entire body before disappearing. The skill window confirmed that shadow extraction had been learned, granting him authority over shadows without requiring mana. The skill shadow extraction allowed Suho to extract mana from a dying body to create shadow soldiers. The success of the extraction depended on the target's remaining ability points and the time since their death. At that moment, the number of extractable shadows was 0 out of 3. As Suho thought about shadow soldiers, his gaze naturally turned to Beru, a shadow beast with black steam emanating from its body. Beru grinned widely, explaining that this skill created soldiers like him, embodying the power that defined the monarch of shadows. Suho then noticed something peculiar about the numerous goblin corpses surrounding him. Over the past 4 hours, black smoke had been slowly rising from the corpses he had killed. Each time he glanced at the smoke, messages indicating that the targets were eligible for shadow extraction repeated in his mind. Suho compared the concept of creating soldiers from corpses to necromancer powers commonly seen in games. He thought the skill might not be that useful, having seen similar skills online before. Various types of summoning skills involved summoning and taming spirits from nature or living beasts, but necromancers were the least popular due to many restrictions. The most problematic was the requirement of a corpse, meaning he had to hunt down bodies, like he was doing now. It also implied that he could only control beasts weaker than himself. Suho felt he needed to try out the skill for himself to be certain of its power. "Shadow extraction," he commanded. The system responded promptly. "Please specify a command for the shadow extraction skill." Suho pondered for a moment. Meanwhile, Beru, standing next to him, was trying to get his attention, twisting his body and coughing pointedly. Ahem. Humph, Beru continued, attempting to hint something. Suho, noticing Beru's unusual behavior, asked, "What? Do you have something to say?" Beru, pretending not to notice, responded, nothing. Cough, cough, arise, cough, cough. Unsure of Beru's intentions, but sensing an intuitive command was needed, Suho spoke unhesitatingly, "Arise." "That's the one!" Beru exclaimed with excitement, clenching his fist. The moment the command was uttered, an unnatural phenomenon occurred. Laughter echoed in the air, as shadows began to wriggle out of the goblin corpses scattered on the floor. Suho's eyes widened in amazement. The shadows seemed to come alive, crawling out of the corpses like demons from hell returning to the living world. The shadow extraction was a success. All three shadow goblins, composed of black steam boiling over their bodies, made wicked noises as they appeared before their new master. Shadow Goblin, Level 1, Normal Grade. Suho observed his three new minions lined up in front of him, noting that they didn't seem very strong. Beru recognized that there was a significant skill gap between Suho and his father Jinwoo, who first acquired the ability at level 50, while Suho was only at level 7. Despite the similarity in skills, a lower player level meant weaker performance. The new shadow soldiers were weaker than they were in their prime, and even their size and speed were reduced. Beru explained in a hushed voice that shadow extraction was influenced by intelligence stats and level, and the skill would become more powerful later. Suho looked at the idle shadow goblins and decided to uncast the skill. Just then, his stomach growled loudly, reminding him that he hadn't eaten for 2 days. Realizing the reason behind Suho's solemn tone, Beru agreed that they needed to focus on survival. Following Beru's suggestion, Suho took out the key to the shadow dungeon and inserted it into his own shadow. The system prompted him to confirm his decision to exit, and upon doing so, the shadows engulfed him, and he exited the shadow dungeon. Upon returning to the hospital, Suho collapsed onto his bed, relishing its softness. The events of the day had been overwhelming. Although only 4 hours had passed, it felt like an eternity. While his stamina had recovered due to leveling up, he was mentally exhausted. Just then, the hospital room's door opened, and several people in formal attire entered. They identified themselves as members of the Hunters Association. Suho immediately recognized their significance. The officials approached Suho, bowing their heads in gratitude. They expressed their thanks, explaining that many people had been saved because of him. Suho, wearing a puzzled expression, felt that what he did wasn't that remarkable. However, they insisted it was indeed remarkable. The gentleman who seemed to hold the highest rank leaned in with an awkward expression, soon correcting it with a warm smile. He praised Suho for his bravery, noting how rare it was for someone, especially so young, to risk their life to save others. The emotional man even wiped away his tears, making Suho feel quite uncomfortable. Suho politely inquired about their identities, feeling a mix of confusion and unease at the overwhelming gratitude and praise. Ahem. An employee nearby, accustomed to the situation, patted him on the back, saying, "Team leader, stop crying and get back to work now." "Yes, I got a bit carried away. I'm getting older, and it seems I shed more tears. My name is Han Jae-hyuk, and I'm a team leader at the Hunters Association. The purpose of our visit is—" Han Jae-hyuk extended a hefty mana measurement device forward, chuckling. "We're here to measure your mana." Suho had been found unconscious in the Hanguk University Art Gallery, which had turned into a field-type dungeon, with pieces of monsters' bodies scattered around him. Reporters were demanding information for their articles. Suho obediently raised his hand above the mana-measuring device. The central mana crystal emitted a faint light, and after a brief wait, the measurement results were displayed. Mana level 46. You've become an awakened E rank. Despite their high hopes, the team of hunters adeptly hid their disappointment. Suho showed no change in expression, clearly uninterested in the results since his status window had already shown his current mana levels. A hunter's worth isn't determined by their rank. In fact, it's more impressive to save lives despite being E-ranked, Jaehyuk said, patting Suho's shoulder warmly. Sung Suho, we look forward to seeing your great contributions in the future. The team from the association finished their business, exchanged casual greetings, and left the hospital room. At that moment, Beru peeked his face out from Suho's shadow, ready to explain what lay ahead. However, the hospital room door opened once again, forcing the ant to retreat back into the shadow.